Welcome back, witches. It's Megan and Morgan with Two Witches Talking. Hey, Morgan, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm loving spooky season and the fact that we're talking about more spooky stories today.
I know. I'm really excited.
I know. It's so awesome. So I've got some new stuff. You've got a little continuation from last episode and maybe some stories that folks have heard before, but many years ago. And, it'll just be fun. So if you're listening and you're able to, if you're not driving or whatever, cozy up with a blanket and something warm and to drink and a candle and enjoy.
Yeah. And I have visual stuff this time too, just a little bit. So if you're
Yeah.
not watching on either our Patreon or on my YouTube channel, then when I get to some of my stuff, if you want to just kind of look at the time and then later on you like hit up the video and look at the, match the time up
Yes.
ish. And yeah, do that.
I love that. Show and tell. Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will dive in. I pulled stories from three different locations that I have visited personally. And the first one is actually a continuation of a story that I told last episode. So if you recall, I talked about the Fort East Martello Museum with Robert the Doll. And I alluded to Elena and Count Von Cosel, but I did not get into that story. So I'm going to preface this story with a gentle content warning of misuse of a body, necrophilia, maybe a little essay. So there you go. So if that is a tender subject for you, I'll, yeah, I'll give you a heads up. So in 1926, a X-ray technician, German-born X-ray technician named Karl Tanzler moved to Key West and called himself Count von Cosel. Did he have any sort of countdom or nobility? No, didn't matter. He worked at the Marine Hospital, though, at the Navy base that's on Key West. And for context of this, Key West is like 2.5 miles wide by like 3.5 miles long. So it is small. And even in the 1930s and 1940s, like it would have been very easy to get from one part of town to the other. So just bear in mind, this is a small town. So he worked as an X-ray tech at the Marine Hospital. And one day in 1930, he met the love of his life. Her name was Elena Milagro Hoyos Mesa. And she unfortunately had very advanced TB, tuberculosis, and came in for an X-ray. Well, as you might guess, with somebody who just decides one day, I'm going to be a count, this is not the most stable of individuals. And he claimed that he had a childhood vision or a series of visions about the woman that would be the love of his life. And so when he locked eyes on Elena, he decided that's her. That's the woman I am destined to be with. And despite the fact that she was terminal and lived with her parents, he showed up every day. He showered her with expensive gifts. He showered her with attention, all of these things. And unfortunately, did not last long because she died in 1931. She died on October 25th. I looked up a few facts. Speaking of facts, she was 22. He was 53. But he was just head over heels with her. And he had a lot of money. So, her parents were like, sure, you can build a beautiful tomb to our daughter in the Key West Cemetery. That's lovely. Thank you so much. Except that he visited it almost nightly until one day he decided this is not the appropriate place for my love, who is still here with me. And he stole her body. The looks on your face are so great. He takes her body and sets her up in his home and sets to restoring her deteriorating body. So here's the little trigger warning. Skip ahead 5 seconds. They lived for Man and Corpse, as Man and Corpse, until October of 1940. And yes, in all the ways that an alive couple would live and interact, he interacted with that corpse. He used silk and plaster to restore her, and there are pictures, and I'll share on our Instagram. There are pictures of poor Elena, and she doesn't even look real. But you got to think about, like, she died in 1931, at the end of 1931. So 1931, 1932 until 1940, that's a lot of repair that goes
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Yeah. So, again, Key West, tiny town. He keeps talking about his beautiful wife, Elena, and how happy they are and how they dance together. And he loves cuddling with her at night and blah, 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 and all the things. Small town. Small town folks said, wait a second, this is not right. What is going on? So when the cops came in 1940, they found a tiny room that housed Elena's body, with a homemade pipe organ, an elaborate bed on which she was laying, and she was wearing a wedding dress surrounded in flowers and all the things. So this launched Key West into the national spotlight, and, you know, people from all over were just amazed at this because, I don't know, I think the shock value today, we would just be like, oh, what a sick motherfucker, and move on with our life.
Yeah.
Back then, 7,000 people came over the course of a few days to actually look at her body because it was such a sensation. The local, the local funeral home was like, hey, you know, we know y'all want to see. And I don't know, man, it's like you see like the Old West films where they're like, they prop like the dead people up in the windows, or like the Victorian funeral photos or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, people had a different aesthetic then. I don't know. So anyways, over 7,000 people came to view Elena, and the count was tried but ultimately released because, A, there were no necrophilia laws on the books in Florida, which I found like there wasn't until like 1996, which is crazy to me.
1996?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But also, his grave robbing crimes had happened such a long time ago that they were outside the statute of limitations. So
Yeah.
they let him go and just were like, you know what? He's crazy, but whatever. So the funeral home took her body and basically removed the parts that were not her and put what was remaining in a small metal box, and it has been interned somewhere on Key West in an undisclosed location because they were afraid that it would get out and he would go unbury her again, and do whatever. So he stuck around for about 5 or 6 months afterwards, sharing his love for Elena, telling everyone who would listen. And he then decided, well, it was time to leave, to get out of the public eye, write his memoirs. And so on the very day that he left Key West, her tomb mysteriously exploded. And they could not prove that it was him that did it, but everybody pretty much was just like, this was him. Carl blew up the tomb, left town, never to be seen from again, which I think is best for everyone involved. But the reason that ties to Robert the Doll is sitting across from him in the same room is an old horse-drawn hearse that is from the Lopez funeral home, and it was actually the Dean Lopez funeral home that took her body, restored it back to just her body, and then helped inter her. And her broken headstone from that tomb is actually at the museum in Robert's room as well. So there you go. So that's the story of poor Elena and crazy Count Von Cosel in Key West.
Holy crap.
I know. When I first heard that, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And
yeah,
no.
like, well, I was to say, I think about like what people got away with a long time ago. You know, like when I watch documentaries and stuff, and I'm like, people would never get away with that kind of stuff today, because there's going to be, especially in a small town, there's going to be one Karen,
Yes.
you know, at least, that is going, you know, after day 3 of this guy being real happy and talking about his wife and everything, and if everybody knew she had died already, day 3 Karen would have had the cops in there in a heartbeat, and this wouldn't have gone on that long in modern day. I know I'm surprised it went on as long as it did. I think from the stories that I've been told by like ghost tour hosts and leaders is that he was able to keep it under wraps for a long time because he didn't talk about it. And then he just got like,
you know, it's like any criminal, like they get bolder and bolder and more confident, and and so he started talking about her, and they're like, wait a minute, who? So yeah. There you go. I know.
That's crazy.
Pretty crazy. All right, your turn, my friend.
All right, so on last week's episode, I talked about when I used to do spirit board contact, and I used to use a handmade spirit board. I should have brought that in here too. I could probably yell for somebody to bring it to me, but we'll just leave that. We'll just leave it, because what I have today is the actual journal. Yeah. I said on last week's episode it was sitting on a bookshelf right across from me, so I grabbed it. Nice. It's so dusty, you guys. It's just a velvet journal, blue velvet journal that we used. So let me explain though how intricate our spirit board sessions were. Okay. I had it's not an Arizona room, it's a Florida room. This was in South Carolina. We had a Florida room at the back part of our house, which I don't think there was anything in it very much at the time. So it was me and two of my friends at the time, and we would put quartz points on all the windows, because a Florida room is lined with windows. And so we would put quartz points on all the windowsills. We would draw a salt circle. We would sit in the middle of the salt circle, and then we would have 5 white candles in like a pinnacle shape around us, and we sat in the middle, okay, of this circle with the spirit board in the middle. And we did this quite often. This was like a normal Saturday night for us. Okay. Nice. I have to say that was just a normal Saturday night. So what we would do is 2 of us would work the spirit board while one of us wrote stuff down in the journal. And this would have been probably 2006-ish, 2007, 2008, somewhere in those 3 years. And actually, I might be able to, hold please. There's all kinds of, 2007.
Cool.
They're dated.
I love that. Oh, I love it when past Megan or Morgan does something cool like this.
I know, right?
Yeah.
There's also just all kinds of weird stuff in here. So this started out apparently as a checkbook register is what this started out as.
That's funny.
And then we just have some herbs. We just have clean fridge out, clean kitchen, clean living room. I don't even know what's happening here. So then it looks like we started these on Sunday, April 8th, 2007. Okay. A lot of it, these are different handwritings, you guys. Oh my God. Okay. So once we started, oh my God, it's so much all over the place. It looks like I finally started April. Yeah, it looks like we did these every day for a while. I even have times written down. So it looks like it went to, because there's a lot. Let me just show you all. Like, there's different handwritings in here.
Oh, wow.
There's different handwritings. So I'm not sure who wrote what. Except for when we get to April 10th, 2007. Okay. This is 12 a.m. This is my handwriting.
Okay.
So
nice.
I know. So it looks like I let the other 2, and I won't mention their names just because I don't know where one of them is anymore. The other one is super Christian now. Super Christian.
Okay. All right.
So we have, and just for anybody, I will let you know, we wrote down whatever information we were given. So we would sit down. And then I also want to show, because I found this in here. We did this with so much respect. And that is how, so when we sat down at the spirit board, like we would light the candles for protection, we would introduce ourselves and we would let the spirits know, you know, we are here to get your story. We are here to get your messages, to get your information. And even for those watching, those are old rose petals, like from 2007, that are still amazing, inlaid in the journal, because we did everything out of love. This was out of respect for the dead, that, you know. So These, of course, they gave whatever information they wanted to. A lot of them were how they died. So if you don't like talking about ways of dying, I don't know, you should probably skip for a little while.
Yep.
So it starts out with Mike from Washington. He was 31 when he died in 1956 by a train accident.
Oh my gosh.
And his message was, I love my family. He was scared to go into the light.
Oh.
Yep. So then Tommy from Vermont came through. He was 26 when he died in 1976 from drunk driving. His message was fear of fear. We just wrote stuff down as we were told it on the spirit board. It says that there was no guidebook about the light. So that's why he hadn't crossed over, is because there was no instructions. Huh? Ruth from Maine, 34 when she died in 1989. She slipped. Oh, she was slipped poison at a bar.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Her message was trust your feelings. She said the light was too bright and she couldn't see, so she didn't go towards it.
Okay. All right.
Too bright. And then we have Sarah from North Carolina, who was 30 when she died in 1999 from, it just says, a trauma.
Okay.
Her message was be strong, get rested, freedom. She refused to go into the light because she didn't want to start over. She didn't think there were still good people in the world.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
So, these went, I won't go over all of them. Okay, that one is very sweet. And some of these people were, as you can see, died in 1972, 1999, 1956. Even in 2007, nobody had past death records uploaded like that. So I do remember us trying to verify some of these at the time to see if they were real people. It was very hard in 2007. I don't even know really that any place is going to be updating their death records back that far online anyway. This one is really sweet though. Robert Elliott. So he gave us two names. Robert Elliott was 56 when he died in 2005 from cancer. He said, I'm going to cry. Tell Nancy I love her too much. And he asked us how Bill was. But I know, but we don't know who Bill is. He wasn't stuck. He just was scared to leave everyone. Because if he had just died in 2005, this was 2007. He had only been dead for 2 years.
Yeah.
And he also did not give us a place.
Okay.
But how crazy is it if just reading some of these, somebody happens upon this podcast that oh my gosh, my dad was Robert Elliott, who died in 2005 of cancer, married to Nancy. So that's kind of cool. And then, okay, so hold on. Let me just see how far this goes.
Yeah.
So I can see. Oh, crap. So I don't know. It was big for us because my dad and my sister both went to Virginia Tech, but I don't know in April if you all remember there was a mass shooting at Virginia Tech. So supposedly we had Saul, S-O-L, who was 22 years old, and he was part of the Virginia Tech shooting. I would assume, it does say questionable, as we looked up a list of victims and found nothing to back up his story.
Yeah.
So we did. So that's another thing that if we could look it up, a list of victims of a mass shooting, you have to understand that when you go to do this, okay, you're basically taking someone at their word, even if they've passed over, even if they're not with us anymore. And just like human beings who are alive, spirits on the other side also lie.
Right.
You know, for whatever reason. So I do have, like, if we looked it up, like that one was negated. But this goes, that's it. Oh, man. Man, that's it. So it looks like it goes until April 20th.
Okay.
Of 2007. Yeah, that looks like that was our last session, but we have quite a few in here between April 10th and April 20th. So it looks like we just went on a heavy 10 days of like every night doing the spirit board. So, yeah, I'll kind of just look through some more and see if anything else jumps out at me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, and if anything sounds familiar to those of you listening, let us know. You know, you never know. That would be really wild. It's like lost connections.
Yep.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. So I'm going to shift gears to something that's like not so fun. And just real quick, share about the Alamo. Now, I know y'all have been in San Antonio at least a little bit. Have you ever visited the Alamo?
Yes, we did when Colin graduated basic training in like 99.
Okay. Yeah. Did you ever pick up on anything at the Alamo that you can recall?
But I was 18 years old at the time, so I don't really. I do remember, which I thought was very weird, but it was also January. Mm-hmm. It was freezing cold inside the Alamo. Like even in San Antonio in January, it was like we had jackets on outside.
Yeah.
But inside, it was like they had pumped up the AC. And I'm like, it's January. Why are you guys running the AC? So I do remember that. That's
interesting because you go like I've been several times throughout my life, you know, it's just down the road. I've never been cold inside the Alamo, even like during winter time. Like I've gotten like November, December, and it was like chilly outside. It was hot inside the Alamo. So that is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I bring it up is I was chatting with Mike this morning and I was like, hey, we're doing spooky stories again. You know, can I share a little bit about your Alamo experience? So I personally haven't felt a whole lot outside of, the general sense and vibe you get from like being in a cemetery or being in a monument where there's this kind of reverence to it all. And there is this, solemnity and all that. And you can feel the energy of kind of sadness. So I've always felt that. But outside of the Alamo, there is a cenotaph, which I did not realize until I looked it up, actually means empty tomb. And yeah, I had no idea. But this huge monument, like there's like an obelisk that goes like 60 feet in the air and it's beautiful. It was placed there in commemoration of like the 100th or 110th anniversary of the Alamo. And so it's got like Davy Crockett and Sam Houston and all the people like on it. But it was also built in the area where a lot of Mexican soldiers and a lot of Texan soldiers were dragged out and kind of in a mass funeral pyre. Piled up there. And as we know from history, most of the time that happens, there's often some folks that weren't quite dead yet that were in this pyre. So it's really interesting. It's one of the places that Mike is specifically very sensitive to for whatever reason. And his daughter actually was like, I can't ever come back here because she said she could hear screams. And I'm like, shit, what? So we went on a ghost tour in San Antonio several years ago. And of course, we talked about the Alamo. And it's really interesting. The Alamo, if you're standing out in front of it, it is right across the street from the Emily Morgan Hotel. And the Emily Morgan is like, I think it's owned by like Hilton or something now. So it's a little less boutique-y. But that is an old hospital with morgue underneath. So this whole area is super duper haunted within this kind of little quadrant of San Antonio. So there's a lot of reports of seeing ghostly figures, of seeing orbs, of seeing and hearing things, and a lot of activity over there. So if anyone listening has been to the Alamo and has a story, please share that with us in the comments. I know. It's the screaming part that I was like, no, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. We don't like that.
Yeah.
We don't like that at all. Yeah.
No, that does actually, hold on, I'm going to put a pin in the book. Because that actually does bring to mind a similar story.
I love it. You knew this would happen.
Yeah, we do. So when I used to go ghost hunting back in the day, this was in South Carolina. I worked at the tattoo shop until midnight. Mm-hmm. We were open noon to midnight. And then the group of us would just either go to Waffle House or Puddle House or something, or go ghost hunting. Because what else do you do in a small southern town at midnight? So in a neighboring town, there was a plot of land that I cannot remember the name of the school. So this is what happens when I'm like, oh, that reminds me of a story, but I can't remember anything else. It was the site of a school that had burned down. Okay. And the school had burned down on a night where they were doing a play. Mm-hmm. And so this was, I want to say back at like before electricity or like the 20s or something. So what had happened was, the torches that they had in the schools or whatever, one of them lit like the curtains on fire, and some people got out. Mm-hmm. The majority of people did not get out. And well, the school was filled with everyone. So we're talking like, because this was a play that the kids were putting on. So all the families were there. There were adults. There was everything. Everybody was there. And the school burned to the ground. Mm. So when they finally went through all of the destruction and everything, I want to say the count was somewhere in the 60s or 70s of like how many people had died. Well, they didn't know what to do. So they decided to do one big mass plot. Oh, yeah. But it wasn't near the school. It was like a mile down the road at a church. Okay. So the first thing of note is across the street from this site, on the site, they've paved a little driveway to where you can drive up. And then someone had made a small miniature replica of the school, set it on the site. And then there's like a memorial thing on the site. Well, like across the street is like a horse farm. Okay. So we're all out there. It's after midnight because, that's when the tattoo shop closed. And we're quiet and we're just kind of walking around the site of where the school was. And full on, all we start hearing is school bells. Whoa. Like old school bells. And we all were like, nope. We're done. And again, like I was the resident witch in our little ghost hunting group. Mm-hmm. So when we would arrive at any location, I would introduce us. Yes. I would give an offering of herbs. I would show them that we were here to, in love and light, basically. Mm-hmm. Like we were not here to harm them, nothing. Yeah. And when you have a site that was a lot of children, I told them I was a mom. And this kind of stuff. So the story was, the lore is that every year around the time of death of the school burned down, there was a procession of souls that would appear on the road near where the school burned down. And you could watch this long line of procession of souls walk down the road the mile or so to the church where the burial was. So we got in our cars and drove down to the site where the mass burial was. Yeah. And that is where I took my phone and I hit record on the sound, like a little voice recorder, and I went and set it over near the grave, the mass grave, which has all of the names on the side of it. And then we walked away for a little while. Yeah. Come back, kind of explored around, asked questions, that kind of stuff. We came back, and I picked up my phone, which was absolutely dead. Yep. Completely dead. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, let's get to like Waffle House something. Let's go eat. I'll plug my phone in, charge it up.
Yeah.
So there was a minute and 40 something long voice file, that was on it before my battery got completely drained. And when I clicked to hit play, it said, "This file is corrupted, cannot be played."
Oh my gosh, you and your corrupted files.
So I don't know who tried to talk to us that night, or if it was just so many of them that were like trying to talk. But yeah, they drained the shit out of my phone, and the file was corrupted to where we couldn't see anything.
Oh, man.
But hearing the school bells like will remain in my memory forever, because you're just standing out and you're like, are those school bells? And everybody hears them and you're like, what the fuck?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you ever done any research to like find out if like a ghost hunting like group or Zach Bagans or whoever has gone out there to record or anything?
I haven't, just because most of the TV shows out there want physical like houses.
Oh, gotcha.
And we always did our stuff in fields.
Yeah.
Or cemeteries.
Okay. Yeah.
And most of the places won't go to places like that because you can't control outside.
That makes sense.
Factors. So I've never looked. I know I did a deep dive into the history of the school and the history of the thing. I think I might have written like a blog article about this at one point in my life, where I included whatever photos they had and stuff like that, just because of my experience, with this. But I dove down into the research of the school and everything. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have one more story, and then I definitely have a question for you. But if you have another story, we can get to that before the question. Mm-hmm. So this one comes from New Orleans, and I love New Orleans. New Orleans is spiritually charged in all the different ways. But this is a story of when I was haunted in my sleep while in a hotel in New Orleans. Okay, so picture this. Sicily. No, I'm just kidding. So the French Quarter is such that, like, on one end is the Mississippi River, and kind of the outskirts of the quarter is Rampart Street. So Rampart Street used to be where Storyville was located, the red light district in New Orleans. What is also there is the Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, which is the oldest operating church that's still in the quarter. And it was once called the Old Mortuary Chapel. It was built in 1826, and it is where it was for the funeral services and burial of all the yellow fever victims. And digging into the history, I later found out that this is a place where several times they had just bodies piled up because they needed to get them away from houses so that they didn't infect anybody else, but they didn't have time to bury them yet. Okay, so imagine, if you will, this is Rampart Street. So we are staying in this, I think it's like Hilton Garden Suites or something or other. And I'm so excited because I don't know anything about this church, because there's like every building in New Orleans, especially the quarter, it's got like 5 different histories. So finding out all the information is just, you have to be very targeted. Otherwise you're just not going to know. But I love that I can look out the window at this beautiful church that's right across this little street from us. Okay, cool. This should also be noted that this is right at around the 400 block of Rampart Street, which is generally accepted as like the birthplace of jazz. There used to be a lot of saloons and venues there, and like Louis Armstrong and Jelly Roll Morton and like all of these like godfathers of jazz would perform there. So also a lot of energy, right? Not bad energy, but a lot of energy. And then I'm like looking out our window and I'm like, okay, cool church. And I look to the left, because behind the church is a road called Basin Street. And then right behind that is St. Louis Cemetery Number 1, which is the oldest cemetery. It was opened in 1789. And it is the place where not only Marie Laveau, the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans, is buried, and Nick Cage has his wacky pyramid tomb already built there, but it is also a place where Delphine LaLaurie is buried. And she is known for, if you haven't watched American Horror Story, or if you haven't dug into the history of New Orleans, she was known for torturing and murdering her enslaved people. Now, within this cemetery, it's not really well organized. I've actually walked through it before they closed it to just the general public. You can go tour it with a certified tour guide, but you have to get permission from those tour guides to do it. Well, before that happened, Mike and I wandered all in there. Marie Laveau's tomb is super cool. There's all kinds of offerings and petitions given to her. But it's very maze-like. It's like being in a labyrinth. It was not well organized, but it was organized into 4 different types of quote unquote religion. So you've the Catholic, the non-Catholic, the Protestant, and then an area, I'm not going to say the word, but for the enslaved people to be buried there. So you have in this area, this church with the yellow fever, all the jazz energy, the energy coming off of the quarter. And then you have a cemetery where someone who murdered and tortured and did horrible things to enslaved people is interned in the same city block as enslaved people. And as Marie Laveau, who would not have stood for any of that BS, right? Who was very much a healer and a great person and a person of the community. So I did not put 2 and 2 together until I realized in the middle of the night, I kept poking my finger into my eye. I kept poking my eye with my finger. And I sleep on my side and I would just be point, and I'm and it would wake me up. I'm this is so fucked up. What is going on? And I thought maybe I'm stressed about something, whatever. And then when we got home, I did the research on the chapel and I'm Mike, babe, this is where our hotel room was. I didn't put any, I had protections for when I went out, but I didn't put any protections in place in the hotel room or anything. We're overlooking this chapel, overlooking the cemetery in this place. We're at the crossroads, literally. And yeah, I'm poking my eye. So it's the only time I've had it happen, except there was one time few years later that it happened at home. And as soon as it happened, I was nope, we are cleansing everything in this bitch. I don't know what's in here, but you're not allowed. And I put wards up to prevent any malicious spirits into the house. But now I know if I'm traveling somewhere and that is happening, got to pull the stuff out, got to say all the magic words and protect myself because I firmly believe it was a spirit messing with me because it's not something I've ever done before or since. I know. Crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I know.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I told Mike, I was I would maybe rather not stay at that hotel again. Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So crazy.
I think I just maybe scan these real quick just to see if there was any other messages from anybody else. Okay, that's weird.
It's I want to make a collection of these because they feel like words of wisdom,
So this one's kind of fun. I actually put a smiley face next to this one and said awesome. There was Tom from the Bronx, who was 22 when he died in 1999 from a gang. He was shot by a gang.
Oh, shit.
It says M13s. I don't know if that's a gang. Is that a gang?
Is that M13? Is that
yeah,
whole?
Thank
yeah.
You.
Oh
Sorry.
my gosh. No, it's okay. That's that
Look,
whole.
I don't
gang
even
thing.
know what the hell I'm writing down.
See,
okay.
That's what gives it credibility to me. Is you're I don't know what the hell this is.
So it's his message was stop the gangs and keep it going. It says he built up his energy through the board to try and knock a sheet of paper down, but he couldn't, and it drained his energy. So he stuck. So we told him to something up, chest out, arms open into the light. He told us we need a smiley on the board. Smiley face on our board, because I handmade the spirit board. Oh, chin up, chest out, arms open into light. So I think we helped him cross over.
Oh, wow.
And then, does not need. This is funny. This is just funny in context. Yeah. The Fred from Kansas was 39 when he died in 1979. It says his son killed him.
Oh.
His message was let go of normal. So he was still waiting on his wife. He didn't want to cross over until his wife. But it says remember I told you that one of the members turned religious?
Yes.
It says right here, his message for her was, you need to stop going to church.
Whoa. Okay.
And I think it's funny because I think at the time she was moving into witchcraft.
Oh.
And I don't know what happened, but somewhere in the last 10 years she went real Christian.
Oh, wow.
And just, oh my God, I'm going to end on this one because this one is hilarious, actually.
I love it.
Okay, so Ken in Montreal was 31 when he died in 2006.
Okay.
And the way he phrased it to us, he then explained more, it was a sex ring went south. So he said he was in bed with 2 women. One of them was married, and her husband came home, and bad things have happened after that. It says, oh my God, stay beautiful inside was his message. Apparently, this is on the page with the flowers, you guys, the roses. It says he went into the light. He was guided into the light after reading his entry in this book, after we wrote his entry. And then it says, and Morgan had to flash her ass at him. This is where I end my spirit contact adventures from 2007. I can't unclose that. Like, that's the perfect closing for my side of this.
That's the perfect closing. Oh my gosh. I love that.
I'm not even embarrassed either. Like, no, I'm not even embarrassed.
It's fine. We all did silly things.
we witches do what we have to help people into the light.
You know what? And sometimes it's flashing a little skin, and I ain't gonna judge.
I love that. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Did you still remember your question?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
So at the Witches Bazaar, you found a penny on the table.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm from the South. And you're like, nope. And you wouldn't touch it and all that. Yeah. I am not familiar with this belief. So fill me in, please. And let's share with everybody else, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the small town of South Carolina where I lived, there was a very large hoodoo population. And I got to work one day, and this is when because I owned a brick and mortar store. My brick and mortar store had 2 different locations. Okay. One of them was like off of Main Street, in that small town. And, I got to work one day, and there were pennies in front of my store.
Oh, okay.
Like, someone had literally just thrown a handful of pennies at my store.
Okay. And
I want to say I was probably working at the tattoo shop at the time, because eventually I moved my shop over next to the tattoo shop. But I was told then by one of the guys that I worked with, he was like, you didn't touch the pennies, did you? I was like, fuck no, because that was weird.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
for me to get to work, and there were literally a handful of pennies strewn in front of my door. And he said, okay, good. He said, in hoodoo, what you do is you hex or curse a penny or a handful of pennies, and then you throw them at your neighbors or whoever it is. You throw them in their front yard. So it's almost like war water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
dang.
But you hex or curse the pennies and then throw them so that whoever picks them up is then hexed or cursed, and you're supposed to aim them at somebody.
Okay.
But ever since then, I have never touched a coin that was on the ground, because even that day somebody said, oh, well, was it heads up or heads down? And I said it was heads up, and they were like, no, that's good luck. And I'm like, not what I learned.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, now I know.
So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I will say that same day, I went like old school, because I was setting up the decks, and there were these old people coming by that were not going to have anything to do with us. They were just there at Charlottetown. And they're like, well, those are going to get rained on. And I was just like, I crossed my fingers at them. I was just like, it was like, and it was just like instinctual. I was like, fuck you, no. And guess what? It didn't happen. So there we go. All right. Woo-hoo. We have gone very long. Thank you so much for sticking with us, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We have our final card for today. So let's see what pops up. Congratulations. The King of England has made you a knight or a dame. I guess we would be dames. What three symbols are on your new family crest? You get to decide.
I'm going to have a triple moon on there somewhere.
Nice. Yes.
I have a tattoo, but my watch is over it. A Triskele.
Yes.
Or Triskele, yeah. And a triple moon, and I don't know, an outline of a cat.
I like it a lot. I think my first one, pomegranate, popped to mind, right, for my Persephone devotion and whatnot. And then I feel like a unicorn, because it feels royal, but also it's magical. And I don't know, like, I want to say some sort of like leaf sprig of some sort, maybe like a rosemary sprig or something. Not sure. That's a fun question.
That is a fun question. I like that one.
I know. I'm like, I want to go like mock it up in Canva. That's cool. Well, thanks again so much for y'all being here and supporting us and listening. Come hang out with us on Instagram at Two Witches Talking. Find us on Patreon under the same name, and you can also watch our videos on YouTube. Just go to Goddess Creations on YouTube and look for podcast, and we're right there. And I think that's it. Thanks so much again, guys. Take care of yourselves and stay magical.
Bye.
Bye.